some questions don't have easy answers. Like this one. Should nature decide which birds survive? Because right now, in places you walk past every day, this decision is already happening. Silently. Without anyone noticing. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how it actually works. In a way that might make you question what you've been seeing in your own backyard all along. Stay with me, because by the end, you might realize survival in nature is not what you think it is. In a backyard, survival is not loud. It never announces itself. It looks ordinary. A bird sitting slightly apart from the group. A feeder where some birds eat instantly while others hesitate. Small details that feel random, but are actually part of a continuous survival filter. According to research from the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, birds are extremely sensitive to environmental pressure. Even small disruptions like human movement, food scarcity, or noise levels can increase corticosterone in their bodies. And when this stress hormone stays elevated, it slowly affects immunity, energy, and decision-making ability. But here is what most people never realize. Survival is not decided in one dramatic moment. It is decided in tiny repeated moments. A fraction of hesitation, a slightly slower reaction, a small avoidance of risk. Over time, these micro-decisions shape who adapts and who slowly falls behind. And sometimes, the process is so subtle, you never even notice it is happening. But here's the turning point most people miss. Sometimes survival doesn't look like death. It looks like disappearing quietly while everything else continues. And that is where the human reaction begins. Because when we see a weak or sick bird, the instinct is immediate. Help it, save it, fix it. In the United States, wildlife rehabilitators often step in when injuries are linked to human environments like window strikes, pollution, or urban predators. But even then, intervention is complex and never automatic. And now the real conflict appears. Some evolutionary biology perspectives suggest that if every weak individual is constantly rescued without context, natural selection pressure may weaken over time, meaning future populations could become less prepared for real environmental stress. But other conservation experts strongly disagree, because today's world is not fully natural anymore. Glass buildings, habitat loss, climate change, and human expansion have already reshaped the system. So the idea of nature deciding is no longer pure or simple. So the question changes again. It is no longer just about saving birds. It becomes about whether we are even observing natural survival anymore. Inside a bird's brain, especially in the nidopallium, memory and learning are far more advanced than most people assume. Studies from the University of Washington show that many birds can recognize human faces, remember safe feeding locations, and store threat patterns for long periods. Their brains constantly build a survival database of the world around them. Every feeder interaction, every threat, every repeated human presence. It all becomes information, and that is why survival is not random. It is learned, adjusted, and refined continuously through experience. But even with all this adaptation, there is still a limit. Some birds become too weak to continue adapting. Some face injury. Some simply reach a point where their body can no longer match environmental pressure. And in those moments, nature does not pause. It continues forward without hesitation. But humans do pause. And that pause creates the deepest emotional conflict in this entire story. Because when you intervene, you are changing an outcome that nature would have resolved on its own. And when you don't intervene, you are accepting something that feels emotionally heavy, even when logic understands it. And maybe that is why this question never feels settled. Should nature decide which birds survive? But here is the part most people still miss. Survival is not a single decision. It is not a fixed outcome. It is a continuous adjustment. A bird that looks weak today might recover tomorrow if conditions shift slightly. Food availability, temperature changes, flock behavior, or reduced stress exposure. So nature is not a judge. It is a constantly shifting system balancing millions of invisible variables at the same time. And that changes everything. Because it means survival is not about strong or weak. It is about timing, environment, and invisible thresholds we cannot fully see. And when you look at your backyard now, you are not just watching birds feed or rest. You are watching a living system making survival decisions in real time, without ever announcing them. So maybe the real question is not whether nature should decide who survives. Maybe the real question is whether we are even capable of fully understanding how those decisions are actually unfolding in front of us. And the more we try to control nature, the more we realize how little we actually see. The next time you see a quiet bird sitting alone, don't rush to judge it. Ask yourself, are you witnessing weakness or a process you were never meant to fully understand? Was there ever a moment in your life when everything looked still, but something important was quietly changing underneath? Tell me in the comments. This is Mind of Backyard Birds.